Hello, my extraordinary mind seekers. Welcome back to the place where we don't follow the rules. We analyze them, we bend them, and sometimes we play with them. As the ancient Stoics would whisper, he who controls his emotions controls the game. Before we dive into today's fascinating and dangerously intriguing topic, hit that like button and subscribe. Not because you have to, but because your mind deserves to be fed with the kind of content most people will never dare to explore. Now, let's walk into the labyrinth of the human psyche, a place where love, manipulation, control, and Stoic wisdom collide. Today's question is provocative, almost forbidden. How can a woman fall in love with a man using dark psychology while remaining rooted in Stoicism? At first glance, it sounds like a contradiction. Stoicism teaches us to master ourselves, to remain untouched by external chaos. Dark psychology, however, whispers to us about influence, persuasion, and sometimes manipulation. Can these worlds coexist? The answer is not a simple yes or no. It's far more fascinating. Let's be brutally honest. Falling in love is not always an accident. Sometimes it's a carefully orchestrated symphony of emotions, timing, and understanding of human nature. And here lies the secret. A Stoic woman does not lose herself in love. She designs it, she observes it, she influences it. She does not beg for attention. She becomes the gravity that pulls attention effortlessly. Now, dark psychology offers tools that, when used responsibly, allow you to understand the hidden triggers in the male psyche. For example, scarcity. Men, like most humans, desire what they cannot easily have. The Stoic woman knows this instinctively. She is not always available. She does not flood him with affection. Instead, she allows him to chase, to wonder, to imagine. The mystery fuels the attraction. And there's another layer, the use of controlled vulnerability. Dark psychology teaches us that when you reveal just enough of your weakness, not too much, not too little, you activate his instinct to protect and to conquer. But here's where Stoicism enters. You are not actually weak. You are revealing what you choose to reveal, not because you need saving, but because you understand how his mind works. Take, for example, the tale of Samson and Delilah. Delilah wasn't physically stronger than Samson. She didn't need to be. She understood his emotions, his desires, his weaknesses. She asked, she probed, she seduced with questions, and eventually he gave her the secret to his strength. Was it manipulation? Yes. Was it effective? Absolutely. But where Delilah failed, and where the Stoic woman excels, is in maintaining self-control. She never allows herself to become a prisoner of her own game. The Stoic woman plays the long game. She is indifferent to instant gratification. She does not need his validation because her worth is self-defined. And paradoxically, that very indifference becomes her most irresistible weapon. Because while others beg for his attention, she makes him crave hers. But there's another dimension we must explore: emotional mirroring. This technique, often discussed in dark psychology, allows a Stoic woman to build an almost hypnotic bond with a man. She observes his emotional states carefully, mirrors his language, his energy, his subtle patterns of behavior, not as a servant to his mood, but as a silent architect of connection. When a man sees his own emotions reflected back at him, he begins to feel understood, even when no words are spoken. And here's where the Stoic discipline plays a crucial role. While mirroring, the Stoic woman remains detached internally. She is not swept away by his feelings. She simply holds up a mirror and lets him see himself in her. This creates an illusion of deep intimacy, while she keeps full command of her inner world. Let's pause for a moment and consider the story of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. The serpent didn't force Eve to take the apple. It merely presented the right words, the right questions, at the right time. The persuasion was subtle, patient, and devastatingly effective. The Stoic woman studies this patience. She does not push, she guides. She does not demand, she suggests. The idea must feel like his own. And in this, she masters one of the most powerful laws of influence, the illusion of choice. Now, allow me to reveal one of the most seductive tools rarely discussed: controlled unpredictability. Human nature craves patterns, but desire is fueled by uncertainty. The Stoic woman, fully aware of this, never becomes entirely predictable. She shifts rhythms, occasionally altering her level of attention, creating small doses of uncertainty that ignite the male brain into a state of heightened emotional investment. Imagine a flame. If you feed it too much fuel all at once, it smothers. If you starve it completely, it dies. But if you feed it carefully, with precise timing, the flame grows stronger, wilder, desperate for more. This is how desire works. And this is how a Stoic woman uses the art of controlled unpredictability to weave a man deeper into her web, all while maintaining her own emotional sovereignty. Now enters one of the most provocative aspects of this game: the power of silence. Silence is not emptiness. In the hands of a Stoic woman, silence becomes a weapon sharper than any word. While others rush to fill uncomfortable pauses, she remains still. The man begins to project his own thoughts, his own insecurities, his own hopes onto that silence. She offers him a mirror, but this time it is blank, forcing him to fill it with his imagination. And the imagination, my friend, is always more powerful than reality. This tactic, rooted in both dark psychology and Stoic detachment, allows her to maintain control without even appearing to do so. While he speaks, she listens, deeply, intentionally. Her calm presence signals strength, mystery, and depth. She speaks when necessary, and when she does, every word carries weight. The less she says, the more valuable her words become. Consider the ancient parable of the wise king who held court in silence while his advisors argued endlessly. When he finally spoke, all listened, not because of the volume of his voice, but because of the rarity of his words. The Stoic woman carries this same aura. She knows that attention follows scarcity, and she wields silence like a queen holding court. But beyond silence lies something even more captivating: selective validation. You see, most people are desperate to be validated, but the Stoic woman offers it sparingly, like a precious jewel. She acknowledges his efforts, but not always. She praises, but not predictably. This creates a powerful loop in his mind. He craves her approval, though, because it's not freely given. He begins to chase not just her presence, but her admiration. And in that chase, he invests emotionally, often far more than he realizes. This is not cruelty. This is mastery. It is understanding that what is easily gained is easily forgotten, but what is earned and occasionally withheld becomes an obsession. And while the man falls deeper into emotional engagement, the Stoic woman remains centered, never losing herself, always watching, always calculating, always choosing. Now we step into one of the most delicate yet potent forces a Stoic woman can harness: identity reinforcement. Every man carries within him an unspoken vision of who he believes he is, or who he desperately wants to become. The Stoic woman studies this carefully. She observes his dreams, his insecurities, his silent battles. And then, like a skilled sculptor, she begins to shape his self-image through subtle reinforcement. She speaks to the king within him, even if the world only sees a soldier. She reflects back his highest potential, allowing him to feel powerful, capable, and desired, but always slightly incomplete without her presence. This taps into one of the most primal aspects of male psychology: the need to be seen, to be admired, to be elevated. But here's where Stoicism becomes her anchor. She is not dependent on his greatness. She does not need to control him directly. Instead, she becomes the rare person who truly sees him, and in doing so, becomes indispensable to his identity. The more he associates his best self with her gaze, the more deeply he bonds with her presence. Consider for a moment the myth of Pygmalion, the sculptor who fell in love with the statue he created. But in this case, the Stoic woman is not the statue. She is the sculptor of his emotional reality. She allows him to step into his ideal self, but only in her presence does he fully feel that version of himself. Without realizing it, he begins to associate his own growth and confidence with her influence. This form of psychological influence is far more profound than surface-level attraction. It creates emotional dependency disguised as personal empowerment. He feels stronger, but that strength feels intimately tied to her. And the more he grows, the more he invests. The more he invests, the more difficult it becomes for him to walk away. At this stage, the Stoic woman has built not just desire, but a powerful emotional ecosystem, one where she remains the quiet center of his universe. The final layer is emotional contrast, the controlled use of emotional highs and lows that create a kind of psychological addiction. You see, the human brain is not wired to crave constant pleasure. It craves fluctuation, the rise, the fall, the tension, and the release. This is why people get addicted to gambling, to unpredictable lovers, to the thrill of uncertainty. The Stoic woman, grounded in her discipline, understands this dangerous rhythm, and she uses it with surgical precision. At times, she offers warmth, affection, admiration, moments where he feels completely seen and deeply desired. But then, just as he becomes comfortable, she withdraws slightly, not with cruelty, but with subtlety. A delay in response, a quiet pause in attention, a sudden focus on her own pursuits, reminding him that her world does not orbit around him. These gentle waves of closeness and distance awaken powerful chemicals in his brain: dopamine, oxytocin, cortisol, blending attraction with the addictive pull of uncertainty. His mind starts to fixate. What did I do? How can I regain her full attention? And without realizing it, he invests more of his emotional energy into chasing the next high, the next moment of closeness. This is not random manipulation. It is deliberate contrast. Because what is constant becomes invisible, but what fluctuates becomes unforgettable. Imagine a storm followed by sunlight. How the warmth feels more precious after the rain. That's the experience she creates within him. The sweetness of her affection always feels earned, never assumed. Yet throughout this dance, the Stoic woman remains untouched inside. Her emotions are not swayed by his reactions. She is not playing because she needs him. She plays because she chooses to. And in that sovereign position, she becomes more powerful than any open display of dominance could ever make her. Because in the end, true power is not about controlling others. It's about controlling yourself so masterfully that others willingly surrender to your orbit. The ultimate secret is detachment. Yes, detachment, not cold indifference, but sovereign emotional independence. The Stoic woman understands that while she may influence, guide, and awaken emotions in him, she is never enslaved by the outcome. She plays the game skillfully, but she is not attached to its result. This is what makes her power nearly untouchable. Because the greatest paradox of attraction is this: the less you need someone, the more magnetic you become to them. He senses that her happiness, her peace, her identity do not depend on him, and that creates a profound tension. Most people, consciously or not, are drawn toward those who do not require them. It signals strength, mystery, and value. Think of the moon and the ocean. The moon pulls the waves toward her, yet she remains distant, untouched, shining with her own light. The ocean rises to meet her, again and again, endlessly captivated by a presence it can never fully possess. This is the essence of the Stoic woman's detachment. She pulls without chasing. She attracts without grasping. Her life is full, with or without him. Her passions, her purpose, her growth are self-generated. And ironically, it is this very self-sufficiency that makes him want to be part of her world even more. He does not feel trapped. Instead, he feels privileged. Privileged to be chosen by a woman who doesn't need to choose anyone. And here, dark psychology and Stoicism merge into a strange, elegant harmony. The Stoic woman understands human nature deeply. She sees the levers and buttons inside every mind. But she uses them not out of desperation, but from a place of calm power. She influences, yes, but she never loses herself. Because while others exhaust themselves trying to control love, she controls only herself. And that is why love, almost inevitably, falls into her hands. And so, my brilliant mind seekers, we arrive at the unspoken truth, the truth most will never dare to see. Love is not a battlefield of wild emotions, nor is it a helpless surrender to fate. It is, for the Stoic woman, a carefully constructed art. She uses dark psychology not to deceive, but to understand. She does not chase love. She attracts it by mastering herself. She knows that the deepest form of power is not loud. It's not desperate. It's silent, disciplined, and magnetic. While others burn themselves trying to force affection, she simply becomes the flame, steady, irresistible, unyielding. And now, I leave you with a challenge. Look at yourself, not through the eyes of society, not through the eyes of those who seek to shape you, but through the lens of your own sovereignty. Ask yourself, am I mastering my emotions, or am I enslaved by them? Because once you master yourself, you will find that the world, including love, begins to move in your orbit. If this awakened something in you, if you feel that dangerous spark of understanding, then you are exactly where you belong. Do not forget to honor this moment. Hit that like button to feed the algorithm that tries to hide these truths. Subscribe to the channel so you never miss another descent into the depths of human nature and Stoic mastery. And remember, while most are sleeping, you are waking up. Until next time, stay dangerous, stay sovereign,